Hello and welcome to the Tinkercad's video gallery. Today I'm going to share a multi-layered card with you that just wants to be done. I haven't quite an idea of how it will turn out. It's just an idea I got and I can't move beyond unless I try and put it into practice. It's one of those. So I'm going to give this a slightly sort of age type of look, and what I'm like using then is the Natural Ivory cards by Stampin' Up. It's a slightly rougher card, sort of nicely natural tone, sort of slightly creamy. And I find if you do older cards, that looks really nice because it's already got like a natural sort of like aged older type look. I'm going to work with the Oh Christmas Tree set, the Vineyard Old type, and the Joyful set by Stamplerations. And I've got a bit of a rough idea, rough layout. I've prepared a couple of bits already. So I want to stamp my Christmas tree about here where I got my mask, and I'm going to stamp that in olivey green. So I'm going to leave my mask on because that way I'll sort of see pretty much where I want it to go. So if I do that, just take that off and put my tree there. Okay, so that is one. And I now want to give it a little bit of more colour. So I'm just going to dust it with a little bit of River Rock to just highlight the green a little bit more. Now, it might be a bit darker because there's other greens that have been on this brush, but it just gives it a little bit more stature, I think. So just a little bit, you don't have to do very much. So I want to get some sort of like a softly coloured look for this card without having to do colouring in. That's the other idea. Now I'm going to pop my mask over this. Just see. Yeah, that's about it. That's roughly right. So I'm hoping that this is going to stay on here. Put my stamp out of the way for the moment. And then I got a stencil here. So I'm going to stencil some, this is where it folds down, but never mind. I can always try and replace that again. So I got the stencil here that I just want to use for the background too. So I'm going to do that about like this. And I'm just going to secure it with some low tack masking tape. And that will hold my little mask for the tree in place as well. I did stamp it on the sticky bit, but I just guess because it's slightly damp from the ink that it doesn't, that prevents it from sticking down properly. Let's put those green ink pads out of the way. And I'm just going to do a bit of a pale blue dusting for the stars. Again, it might not be quite as pale because I got a darker blue on there, but it does work. So I'm just going to just have the stars take up a little bit of colour. You could do this with a blending tool or a baby wipe, but I'm just going to want a very light touch of colour, and I find that the brushes are quite good for that. So just need to make sure that I stay away from the edge. So that should be enough. take this off. Put that here. Yep. So we got a little bit of muted green around the tree. So I also want to do this bigger one, and that will darken the other stars because you're just layering above that. Just going to put my tape in place, so I don't have to use another glue. I'll just stick with the same, but I'll just do the larger star here. And as you can see, the stars that I had done before, they still stay in place and they're still very visible. And all you have to do is just very lightly dust. You don't have to put pressure on or whatsoever. So let's get this out of the way. I think that's me done with blue. Let's get this up. So that's a rough background, and you can see you got the star still here sort of coming through, but the larger one is visible too, which gives quite a nice effect, and it's sort of adding layers without having to physically add layers to a card. So just quickly wipe this, pop that stencil to one side. And if I take this mask off, you can see that the stars are just around the tree. And now I got my Vineyard Old type, which I got here. I've already fussy cut that and I stamped it in a brown, and then I've stamped some of the sentiments of the Joyful set onto a pre-embossed, it's like a notepad type of page type of embossing folder that I got, and I stamped some of the sentiments in there. So I want to have them somewhere covering this up. I might have to tear that smaller, and this is going to go somewhere here. And I also wanted another Christmas tree, which I'm going to put on the postage mark, on the postage stamp. So that's going to be the smaller one of the Christmas tree set. And I'm not quite sure yet what colour to do it in. So that sits in there. So let's just see what we do with that. Going to do that in green again. I'm going to do it pretty similar to my other tree, and of course I will be bringing some red in this too. And I've got other bits and bobs. It's probably going to be more like a mixed media style card, this one here. So if you put that on the postage mark, so that's that. And then I'm just going to quickly dust it again. Just ever so lightly, it doesn't have to be a lot. Just so that it has a different colour, really. And next I'm going to use some tea dye, just blend the edges. And I'm just going to quickly do that with a baby wipe because I'm really just wanting to do the very edges of it. And that just gives me a little bit more control as to where I'm going, rather than using the brushes this time. Yep. Just a little bit more. That's that. And then I'm just going to draw a wonky line around it. Actually, a couple of them. So that's that. So it's going to be my little embellishment to some receipt there as well. I wanted to age this here a little bit with the tea dye, and I got a very old ink pad here, which is a Stampin' Up one called Tea Stains. I'm just going to use that directly to go over it and pick up the lines, because I can't see what I'm doing entirely until I've coloured this. So you can see it's just highlighting the texture now. So that is that. And it wants the edges blending too. And I'm just going to use my baby wipe again. And I might have to do this again because, as I said, I might have to change the size of this, but until I've got it coloured, I'm not quite sure what size I want it to be honest. So let's put this out of the way now for the moment. So that goes here. I could even have that sort of on the corner there. I might just move it. And we just get some twine. I want to bring some red in. And I've got some Christmas charms here. So if I do the red there, I want something else in red. It's a bit too pale there, I need something. But what? just going to make this a little bit smaller. Which means I'll have to, of course, do some more blending around the edges. That might be a better shape. Actually, it is, well, so let's just see. It's got a bit small now for the card. Something red there. So what am I going to do here now? Right, I think the next thing I'm going to do is actually I'm just going to stamp my sentiment. Get another element together, put this to one side. And I'm just going to pop that on here. No, that's not long enough. Just say. I got something here. Where is my block? So that's Season's Greetings. So I'm going to align it here with the bottom of my paper. I'm just going to push this up. So that's quite, that gives you then a line if you sort of blocks haven't got a line, so that you can put your stamps relatively straight onto your block. And this is where I discovered that I've got one that isn't quite big enough, so I'm going to do it diagonally. Let's do the greetings here. And the seasons, because I want them to be as in a sort of like a long banner coming across. And I need my brown again. Right, come here, Season's Greetings. There we go. Now this is also just giving me an idea. or something else. I'm just going to see what it would look like if I got the Christmas block there, which might mean I'd have to mask my Christmas tree off again. And let's just do that like a cluster of something here. I'm not quite sure it's working. Let's just see. Let's do that. So let's leave that here. Take this off. I actually had thought that I was going to be a little bit more red, but it does look quite pinky now. Never mind. So where's my sentiment gone? My season's greetings. Right, I want another blue star at the bottom here. Just a small one. Do that one there. Yep. So it's just a little bit at the bottom there. This. Season's greetings. Goes across there somewhere. But not the whole width, of course. I'm not quite sure whether I'll do it into a banner or whether I'll actually leave it like that, so I'm just not going to snip the edges. I will have to do a little bit more blending for that. Now I want to, let me just get my base card to see what it is starting to look like. Now it actually is starting to come together, as you can see. Sometimes that really helps to get to see what you need to do. So I want to have a little bit of red somewhere. Some red ribbon maybe, rather than twine. Let's just see what we got. See, does that fit in somewhere? No, that doesn't look right. No way, I just want some red. Maybe I need to put that on a piece of red card actually. I think that might just help. Or just blend the edges with red, really. Let me just get some. To one side. And I'll probably just snip a little bit of the banner from the top because it's just a little bit too wide. So bear with me on that. Yeah, that is less dominant. That actually looks quite nice now. It looks much better. And if I just rub that with a teeny bit of tea stain that I've got left on my wipe. And now I'm just going to go in with a little bit of red. I'm just going to do both longer edges first, and then I'll see how what I have to cut it down to. So something like that. I quite like it that long. I'm just going to finish this off now. And then I'll run the edges to make them slightly darker just along my end part. So And all the time as I was doing this, I had this thing going on in my mind about writing Home for Christmas. It's actually driving home for Christmas, the song, isn't it? Maybe that's why I struggled. There you go. But this is basically the theme of the card. It's sort of like writing Home for Christmas. So I might just arrange these elements slightly differently, probably pop. Don't know if the bell comes in, might pop a little bit of twine in somewhere. And that's the rough idea of the layout. So sorry about my ongoing ramblings. But as I said, I wasn't going to know quite how this was going to turn out and how I would do it. But I hope you enjoyed watching, and I shall see you soon. Thanks, bye.